And there is the man himself, the silver medalist of GSL Open Season 3, trying to come back and keep himself alive in this series to advance to the round of 32.
TSL Lane.
TSL Rain conquering the rainbow to stay in Codas next season. Here he is in the Super Tournament, but his opponent has shown some very good play so far. Some really smart play.
MVP King.
He is keen. He's got one of his teammates in the audience here to cheer him on. MVP actually has a few teammates. Well, one of them is Violet, so he was here anyway. But MVP team, they always come out to cheer on their teammates.
They really
no
do.
What.
That's the thing about new teams. You notice a lot of time, like Slayers is also a new team. They've got a lot of people coming down. They're just really keen on coming down and seeing what's going on, making sure their players are doing well. It always feels good when you've got your teammates there with you when you're playing. It's much better than just being there alone. You're the only guy who shows up on your whole team. You just sit in your booth. It feels much better when you've got your teammates there to cheer you on, watch you from the crowd.
And we're getting a scout for both players, doing it almost exactly at the same time. And I believe they're about the same build as well at this point. So nothing too particularly different going on in either player. Really curious to see how this game goes. This map, even though it's not as good for Banshees, you often see Banshees on this map. I have that impression.
I actually agree 100%.
I seem to remember seeing that a lot on here.
Well, the thing about this map is the architecture of the map lends itself to Banshees going back and forth from the main to the natural really easily.
That's true.
So that's, I think, the reason why Banshees are seen so often on this map. It's very easy to bounce back and forth, very annoying.
Especially, actually, it's easier to do that in the top position, I think. There's a little more space up there.
Yep.
So maybe we'll see Rain go for Banshees this time. He is getting a Tech Lab.
Yeah, both players getting a Tech Lab. Sometimes that means we're going to see a Reaper out of both of them.
Yeah, I think
But actually, a Marauder and concussive shells coming out for Keen. That's not very normal.
No.
In fact, actually,
not normal at all.
When you see something like this, it makes you feel like it could be an expansion build, but it could be an all-in. Could throw down some barracks. It's really hard for us to judge at this point. SCV does come in here and see the Tech Lab. Not too impactful, though, because the command center wasn't made yet.
No, that was pretty big, though. He knows that it's Tech Lab instead of like another fast alien build or something like that. But yeah, that's really interesting. Concussive shell. I mean, normally, Terrans, I've heard, generally make Marines at the beginning of the game.
That's true.
Right? I've heard that before. And Marauders are bad against Marines in general. Well, not bad, but Marines are better against Marauders, I should say. So it's really interesting. He may have anticipated this Reaper and wants to slow it down, make sure it can't run around and escape. That would actually be a really cool little kind of blind counter.
Yeah, it would be. And here comes the Reaper now. Try to jump up here. Oh, took a break. Here he comes, and the Marauders are ready.
And oh my gosh. Oh, turns around. Never mind.
But seeing the Marauders is pretty telling.
Yeah.
It lets them know, okay, you're not doing something very normal. Probably thinks it's going to be an expansion. The reason I say it could have possibly been an all-in is because I've actually seen, back when Maro played Terran, sometimes he would go for this build where you get Marauders and then you proxy some barracks, add some Marines in, and go for a really, really fast Marauder timing attack. And if your opponent makes a command center at all, he just dies.
Yeah.
Back in the day when Maro played Terran.
And it, there's that Reaper. He tried for it anyway, and there's the concussive shells at work. 0 damage for that Reaper, so that was actually a really cool thing to do to get those concussive shells. And the thing is Marauders, not too good in a straight-up even fight against Marines, but they're good against buildings, so they're good for breaking open a door, killing bunkers, that kind of thing. And it looks like he might, in fact, try and go for that. He's building more barracks.
Yeah, but he's got to be very careful about this bunker. Does not want to run that Marine into it.
No.
And he has made a command center, though. It's finishing up right now.
It's all right. If he runs into the bunker, he can use concussive shells to slow it down. So it doesn't chase.
Yeah. Because of themselves, they slow things down.
And I'm not surprised. Oh,
look at that. That was a nice little move there. It did take a little bit extra damage, but trying to pick off the Marine from the side was pretty smart. Basically, the command center can't safely land here without moving the Marines forward, but there are enough Marines, I think, to move forward, and Keen actually going to have to run away immediately with those Marauders. I don't think trying to kite these is a good idea.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
He's running into a wall here.
Oh, he's going to lose a Marauder. That hurt. That hurt. Yeah, that was not good. I'm not sure why he engaged there. Hoping to kite, I guess, with the concussive shells, but there's like 8 Marines. You can't slow them all. So, anyway, factory going up for Rain. Keen's going to go ahead and take his expansion a little bit later, and he's going to bunker up as well, which is a smart move. He doesn't want to get overrun by Marines with only a few Marauders.
Very smart. In fact, we've got Rain actually added 2 reactors. He's just cranking out those Marines. He's got Stim on the way. But Keen's Stim is a little bit earlier. It's going to help him defend against this aggression that Rain is putting on right now.
Yeah. In a approximately even fight, the guy with Stim beats the guy that doesn't have Stim. So,
exactly.
So he's going to be pretty safe here. He does have that Stim. And you can Stim units that are in bunkers, by the way. So
bunkers, really nice position. Both of them right at the edge of these entrances.
Yeah, that's really smart. And they cover each other as well, a little bit.
Rain gonna have to back away. Smart choice. Rain has had his command center up a little bit longer. Now Keen actually adding the reactor to his starport. So he really wants to stick with this bio style. Something you don't see that often in TVT anymore. Marine King does it pretty frequently, but not so much with Marauders.
And Rain going ahead and trying to take out those rocks so he can take a third. He realizes they can't really get in there and break Keen right now. So, you know, if you've got a little bit of an advantage, or at least some kind of map control, and you can't actually break them though, you gotta just expand. So it's a good move there. Nice scan, sees everything in Keen's base.
And actually, Keen doing a very similar build with this. He's got the 2 barracks with reactors and 1 with a tech lab, and he's actually cut Marauder production, not making any more Marauders at all from those initial ones.
He's only seen bio, so that's smart.
Yeah, so both players going for a really similar style. Siege mode and a siege tank, though, are on the way for Keen, so he's trying to get those out. So that's where their styles diverge slightly.
Yeah, now +1 weapons is about to complete for Rain, and we don't, I believe, have any upgrades yet for... Yeah, no upgrades yet for Keen. So that's then an advantage that Rain is going to have. Keen's getting combat shields, though, and siege mode. So I think, overall, despite that +1 weapons for Rain, I think Keen is still kind of ahead with the upgrades in general, the technology upgrades, at least.
Yeah, definitely so. Those siege tanks become so important.
Yeah.
Especially when your opponent has so many Marines.
Exactly.
It's a pretty scary moment here, though. Keen, I'm not sure if he has enough. He won those medevacs.
Oh, no. Rain with way too many units, stomping all over that, taking out the medevacs, killing everything Keen has, forcing him back to his expansion, and he recycled one of his bunkers. So, well, siege mode is up, so that 1 tank, if it sieges, could actually barely keep him alive. And he's just going to fall back and probably take this opportunity to take the gold, I imagine.
Yeah, I think that's a very smart choice. He has already destroyed those rocks. Just wants to make sure he's got a little bit more map control. He actually could try to go for some drops. Keen actually does have some Marines positioned to be prepared for that. Sending Marines actually all around the map to check for things like that.
Nice. Yeah, I'm actually honestly surprised that Rain hasn't taken an expansion at that gold yet. He's not even building a CC. He knows he just killed a lot of Keen's army, but instead he's just going to go ahead and nope, he's not going to drop after all. He's going to scan the front and see what's up there. Yeah, I'm really confused, to be honest, why Rain isn't deciding to take an expansion here, because he's not attacking. Maybe he's going to wait for siege mode and he's actually going to try and siege up and on the low ground or something like that.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit perplexed as well. I think he's just kind of beating his chest a little bit, trying to scare him back, trying to take a little bit of map control. And Rain looks like he is going to go for that drop, finally.
Ooh, there's some Marines there, but they're not quite in the best position to pick off that medevac. And tanks on the low ground doing some damage. Marines on the high ground, though, might be able to get close enough to pick off those tanks. Oh, he charges it with Marines, and 1 tank goes down. The other doing so much damage, though. The Keen completely forced back, and now his barracks are under siege. And Rain ferrying troops up into the main.
Not a whole lot Keen can do about this. He is sieging his own tanks to try to be in a good defensive posture, but he is going to lose some reactors here on the sides of his barracks. And honestly, the defense of Keen has just not been that cost-effective. Rain probably going to want to leave now, but he's done a ton of damage.
Nice. Oh, Rain! Oh, he left his medevacs there. That was a horrible little misclick there. Didn't run them far enough away. Lost a medevac. It might have gone down anyway, but that was close. He almost lost all those medevacs, actually. If he'd been a little bit more uncautious, a little bit less cautious.
Haphazard.
He already was. A little bit more haphazard. And a drop for Keen gets spotted and thwarted and cleaned up. But now Keen moving across the map. He's going to try and take the center. And there's no high yield there to siege up on. He never took it.
This is actually a really similar situation to what we saw last game with just the roles reversed. Now, Keen having a lot of siege tanks, but not really any support for them. So he's got the better siege tank. Now he's going to try to make use of that. It's going to be very difficult too. Of course, he's been spotted now, so this attack is no longer going to be a secret. And it's going to be hard for him to replenish those Marines because he did lose a few of those reactors in the main base.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the command centers going down for both players. They do both want to take those thirds. But Keen is really setting up to have a good position here. He scans and sees that army and seizes up a little bit earlier and gets a nice volley off on those Marines. He needs to run his own Marines back or target the tanks. Good splitting, intentionally or not, and is able to take out all of Rain's forces in the front and just barely get forced back by his reinforcements. Not that many Marines left though. Rain does have a lot of Marines. If he moves forward at all, if he unsieges, then Rain will be able to capitalize. Exactly. But here's the thing. Nope, never mind. Keen's going to fall back. Let him take his third after all.
This has been a very tense and close game because both players have had overwhelmingly different compositions that all just comes down to the engagements. And so far, even though Keen had a significantly smaller army, he always had the better hand of the engagement, so Rain can never really capitalize on that.
Okay, so now they're both going to go out here and take their gold bases and probably planetary those up. And both players now posturing on the left side here. Scans. Keen's actually using a lot of scans right now to keep track of Rain's army. So he might be lacking a little bit in minerals because of that, but he's really making sure he's got good positioning. He's making sure not to lose position.
Very true. Actually, right now, Keen's starting to catch up a little bit in the Marine count. He's actually coming in the cage, but Rain is prepared. He's sieged up first.
And he's just barely within range of that new planetary, that morphing planetary. Forced to cancel and lift the planetary whilst Keen gets his high yield going. So Keen in a really good position here. But again, Rain with the Vikings coming out to do some damage and take air control, take vision control, and kill off a medevac.
A little bit of a drop, but very easily thwarted by good missile turret placements. Now look at what Keen is doing. He's actually running his units around in circles, but
no! And that is what we were referring to when we talked about how you could throw away your whole army in an instant there. Keen had a little bit of an advantage, now at a supply disadvantage. But again, still with good position. And another drop at the natural of Rain. Rain is barely mining at this moment. He's going to be able to clean this up, but really taking the econ hit there.
Yeah, actually, you know the thing about Rain is he's really well known for his timing attacks and his two-base pushes, but when it comes to these later game stages, he really struggles. And it's kind of starting to show in this game here because he was significantly ahead, but Keen is just tearing him apart with really, really good multitasking.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why he lost to MVP as well. He played really well in the early game, really put up a good fight, and even on this map, in fact, he played MVP. In the late game, just couldn't hold it together in the macro fest that happened, and Rain does not see this push coming down to the rocks in the south. Does not know these rocks are being taken down, and he could easily charge in here and take up a huge position in his natural and then just defend the counterattack. This could be a killing blow for Keen.
Going right for the SCB, stimming those Marines, killing that refinery. Got the siege tanks up on the low ground. Rain using so many Marines, but he's losing a lot of them.
Oh man, those tanks got actually owned pretty hard, and now he's going to clean up Keen's Marines as well. Keen running his medevacs, but he's going to lose 1, 2, possibly another if there's a turret back there. That was actually really, Keen ended up ahead barely because he killed some stuff, but he lost a lot of tanks there. He didn't really need to if he'd seized in a better position.
And an impressive hold by Rain, really, as well. So, looks like we're going to have another engagement, though, here in the middle of the map. And it looks like Rain will finally hold that gold base, taking an orbital rather than a planetary to try to catch up with the lost mining time. But he can't mine there just yet. He's got to clean up a few more of these siege tanks.
And he's actually going for a counterattack towards Keen's planetary at the third at the gold. And is forced to fall back by the tanks behind that planetary. But he's sieging it up now.
Yeah, this is actually a really funky situation. Both players kind of have their opponent's base under siege.
I kind of like the decision to go with the orbital because you so often have to lift
Exactly.
in that spot. So he can lift now, and really random attack getting cleaned up there. I guess he was trying to pick off tanks. Didn't quite work.
Oh, looks like.
But oh, in the middle of the map.
map.
In the middle of the map, a huge battle. Keen bringing SCVs down to try and force the siege back, and succeeds. Needs to fall back before that, but no. Rain ran all around the top of the map and takes out massive amounts of SCVs. Might even be able to take out some barracks. Might get that orbital. Looks like Keen's going to go ahead and clean that up, but not before losing some stuff. And
Trying to get himself into a good position down here in the middle, though. And it looks like he will clean up the Marines, but does not want to move his Marines any further forward.
oh wow, Keen with air control actually loses those Vikings really unnecessarily. Oh, nice little drops. Oh, forces some damage. Beautiful play. The Marines not able to catch up to that medevac, whilst those Marines, I don't know why I keep saying whilst today, while those Marines drop out and do lots of damage to the tanks.
Oh, he's going to try to siege up behind the gold base. That's really smart if he can get some vision of it. He's going to use that medevac for vision. He's going to do so much damage. And Rain just not being able to mine as much as he would like to. He's lost so much mine time. In both of these games, we've kind of had situations where Rain just can't mine as much as Keen has, even though he's got a better army. He just can't pressure because siege tanks are really strong at defending. And he's just falling further and further behind from not being able to mine. Although our supply counts are really similar, just losing all of this mine time really does start to stack up.
Yeah, he's been losing a lot of mining time, and so even though Keen has been throwing away units, they're kind of even right now because, you know, Keen throws away units, TSL Rain loses economy. It all comes out in the end.
And with these sensor towers, both players know exactly where their opponents are moving, so it's almost like both players kind of have a sense of a map hack, where they're always ready to be positioned when their opponent's coming because they can see everything that's going on with those sensor towers.
I find it a little bit interesting that Rain just scanned his army when he had the sensor tower.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too. A little bit strange.
I mean, it doesn't reach all the way out there, but still, anyway, more pressure going on from the low ground and the high ground. There's just a lot of takes there for Rain. And here comes the drop coming in for Rain to try and drop on those tanks. He's going to take that low ground back and make sure they can't be harassed. Continue mining at that goal.
And Keen is just all over the place. He's got Rain surrounded from two sides, throwing away a lot of units, but just continuing to stop that base from being able to be mined.
Yeah, he's drunk. Oh, and TSL Rain tunning. Oh, suiciding all of his Marines into these tank fire. Oh,
GG.
and leads the game.
Keen
takes
Rain out 2-0.
That was, I cannot believe Rain did that. He's like, I've got 60 Marines. I'm going to go ahead and stim them all a couple times, make sure they're nice and soft, run them into some siege tank fire without actually attacking the siege tanks, and then leave the game. And wow, and Keen doing a ceremony, bringing his own cheerful out to the crowd. I have no idea what it says, but wow, Keen a nerd boss.
He is.
He's going to be in the round of 32 of the Super Tournament, taking out the veteran Rain.
Look at him now.
Nice
He's just putting his keyboard away in silence. And I have to say, he played some good games. But the problem was, his late game multitasking was just not up to speed. Keen was all over the map constantly. Rain had really good siege tank positioning, always in a really good spot with the siege tanks, making it very difficult. But Keen, he found the spots anyways, and that's really what it came down to.
Exactly. It was like he'd come in, he'd like poke him in this shoulder, and he'd go, hey! And then he'd poke him in the other shoulder, hey! And he'd poke him in the other shoulder, and he'd go, hey! And he'd poke him in the side. And then slowly just drawing that noose in further and further until he had siege tanks right on both sides of that third, and Rain just couldn't like fend all different directions at once, and then threw away his army also.
Exactly. So Rain, he's one of those players I know that I've talked a lot about it already today, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. A lot of people dislike him in the foreign scene because he never really plays late games, and his late game is kind of weak, and that showed a little bit today, I have to say.
Yeah, definitely kind of losing a little bit of composure there in the end. And, you know, you start making mistakes once you get a little tired, once you get stressed, if you're not used to it. And he started making little mistakes, and then later on big mistakes, and then a huge mistake or two as well. And Keen, able to close it out, retained his composure despite a big drop coming around the top and taking things out there, taking out some SCVs there, cleaned it up easy despite losing a lot of Marines of his own. Took it out pretty well. Anyway, we're going to have a 2-minute break before we come to the last match. Do not go away. Juke 2 versus Eddie Pro. Awesome. See you soon.
I'm a zombie out to kill this shit. Midnight mashing, no mansion, holiday inn with champagne splashing. Free wild with the parties, movement and frank music, we party crushing. Get love in the AM, get